before it's too late. For my people who just love to
Was on
relax and
silent?
be taken
You're
care
live on
of,
YouTube
you can
already?
visit our website
Really?
at
Yeah.
www.mtnonline.com/people to buy now. For my always on the move busy bees, you can download the Primary Offer app, Primary Offer, spelled one word, from the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store to buy straight from your phone. For
Judith
my
is not in today.
financially savvy
No.
people, I'm sure you already know what to do. Just contact your stockbroker or bank to buy. This is the journey of a lifetime. Don't miss out on this. Buy now. Everywhere you go, MTN. We kept the Metro going non-stop with amazing refreshments and cool vibes from your favorite music artists. And now, get ready for the biggest and most exciting December ever. It's Pepsi December! It's go hard or go home this Pepsi December as Pepsi hits you back to back with the biggest and loudest musical experiences. You're going down this smooth breakfast. The Smooth Breakfast presents the headlines, the stories, the news,
Ready?
in-depth analysis of national current affairs.
Mike's up. Thank you for joining us. This is Smooth 981.fm. My name is Lakumi, and you are in the hour of Freshly Press 981. This is the segment where we analyze in depthly some of the top news stories that we have today on your newspapers. So in the studio, I actually have two analysts joining me to do justice to some of the stories. Or Justin Justice. Okay. Well, let me just quickly introduce these young men. Justin, good morning.
Good morning, world. Good morning, Lakumi. Let me ignore that.
You're a young man.
I am.
Yeah, he is. Okay. I also have Uwade Ahime.
Good morning, Lagos. Good morning, Olakumi. Good morning, Justin.
Yeah, good morning, Justin. Who's gonna do justice to the stories? It is 0809 That's the WhatsApp number to send a message to join the conversation. You must know that we are streaming live on YouTube right now, so please do join us there. Go on YouTube and send your messages in. I will be taking messages on YouTube as well as WhatsApp. Let's get into the stories, shall we, gentlemen? Is it okay if I call you gentlemen? Because you are gentlemen, right? You don't like young men, but you like gentlemen. All right, let's do this. First story goes to Justin. Justin, stop bringing Nigerians to our country. That's
Starting with
United.
Lakumi.
United Arab Emirates tell foreign airlines. Nigeria and United Arab Emirates. UAE on Monday directed foreign airlines not to bring Nigerians to UAE. Nigerian passengers were denied boarding on Ethiopian airline at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport, Lagos. Now, the source that's telling Vanguard this also confirmed that Ethiopian airline, Turkish airline, and other international airlines going to Dubai from their bases have also been directed not to board any passenger with Nigerian passport whose final destination is Dubai. What's going on? This face-off is deep.
It's deep, but it's not that deep.
Okay.
These in a roundabout type of way. I'm enthused that this is happening because it's allowing certain things that people talk about tongue in cheek
Okay.
to now be addressed in the open, right? The racist attitude of some wealthy nations towards sub-Saharan Africa, which really is not a geographical place. It's simply an idea that people of black skin from a certain part of the continent are less than. Finally, we can discuss the COVID response on a global scale, not as a health issue, but as a race and as a wealth issue, right? Because now we're in the realm of tit for tat. We're in the realm of do not bring people from this country to
To
our country
yeah.
because X. Now, there's something called the Bilateral Air Services Agreement, which everyone knows is the agreement that governs the skies between two countries. So, and it's the linchpin of it is reciprocity. So, I'm going to fly 10 flights. I'm going to operate 10 flights into your territory, and you can operate 10 flights into my territory. Now, what typically happens is in that equation, the person with more capacity is at an advantage. So, the agreement would typically say, I do 10, for instance, you do 10. But if you don't have 10 aircraft or the capacity to operate 10 flights,
Yes.
then you will take up what you can out of the
The
leeway
10,
that's
yeah.
given to you in a BASA, right? We have a BASA with the UAE, right? I think 20 flights a day. They've always had the upper hand between Etihad and Emirates, right? They're having a field day. Nigeria really never had an aircraft, a carrier that could keep the pace. Epis comes along, Epis requests for, oh guys, I can do 3, right? Or something of the sort. And they, instead of keeping with the spirit of the Basa, they say, no, you will do 1. And that 1, I think Epis goes to Sharjah, not even Dubai. They operate to Sharjah. Emirates has two a day in Lagos, 1 in Abuja, something of the sort.
And Etihad has one.
And Etihad has 1 on some frequency. I can't remember. So the issue here is, okay, guys, our people wanted 3, you gave them 1, but you're operating your full, and we've had this issue before. We shut down. So they played a game of blink, and Emirates suddenly stands up and says, you know what? So Nigeria said, you know what? We will reduce your frequency to 1. Reciprocity, right? And the guys wake up and say, okay, we're not coming again. Okay, while you people sort out this issue, we're not coming anymore. That's Emirates. And then the UAE government stands up and says, don't bring Nigerians to our country. Now, this goes back to something I mentioned last week. African leadership needs to stand up today, right?
Yeah.
We cannot, number one, you also cannot afford a lot of dignity if you do not give it to yourself. We cannot go cap in hand begging the world for stuff every time something happens.
Yeah.
You're the one out there begging for COVID vaccines. Oh, they're not giving us enough. Oh, it's unfair, blah, blah, blah. But the truth is, get your house in order. It's the same thing playing out here. What this tells me, if COVID had not been discovered in Wuhan in China, if COVID had been discovered initially anywhere on this continent, the global response would not have been what it is today, because it would have been very easy to do what is being done now, which is just lock them out.
We're already seeing it with the Omicron.
Yeah, just lock them out. What would typically have happened, I mean, one is left with no other response, or nothing else to assume, but they would have simply cut Africa off from the rest of the world until whoever they thought was going to die off would die off, and then they can come in and have all the cobalt and lithium and gold that they want. So guys, it's our internal problem. Let's fix up, because we can shout and scream all we want. Nobody is shy in the world anymore. Political correctness is dead. They're telling us to our faces, we don't like you.
Okay, so this is part of the conversation that we had yesterday as well. And we were talking about how lots of people were, of course, in support of, Nigeria can retaliate. This is the time to stand up for yourself. Don't let UAE, treat you like dirt, that kind of thing. What would you say that the government should begin to do in terms of international relations?
You see, charity begins at home. We can talk all the diplomatics that we want on the global stage. The truth is, if you can't, you're not going to look me in the face and have an argument with me over what your rights are if you're going to come asking me for dinner in the evening. So our foreign policy statement, our foreign policy position and all of that, you can only project strength from a solid base. At the base level, which is how we organize at home, we really don't have that much to bargain with, right? We can go at it from a national pride perspective, which is what is happening now, because last they go beat you. You will chop, right? We can go at it, and I don't have a problem with that, but let's just know that that's what it is. You will collect, but at least have something to fall back on.
Okay. Let's move on to the next story. Lawan reveals salaries of senators, reps. Now, that's the president of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, on Monday revealed the salaries and emoluments of members of the National Assembly to the public in Abuja. The president of the Senate said the monthly salary of the senator is 1.5 million naira, while a member of House of Representatives was 1.3 million naira. He also said that 13 million naira thrown into the public space a few years back as the monthly salary of senators was actually their quarterly office running allowance. What do you make of this, Wadi?
Well, I am finally they're beginning to say something. Finally, but the truth of this is, they say he who comes to justice must come with clean hands, and this is not what you're doing. You said someone threw out the quarterly allowance as 13 million. Just tell us what their package is so that everybody is aware. You know, you don't
He's talking to idiots.
yes now, so that you don't come out
Justin.
2-3 years later and tell us, oh no, our salary is 1.5 million. Is what we used to run our office. How much are you using to run the office? How much are you even paying? How many assistants do you have? How many people do you have within the office? What do they do? What's their salary like? And things like that. Because transparency is what will bring about people believing in the system. Now you say it's 1.5 million. How are we sure? Can we calculate what is budgeted to the National Assembly using these figures? Because you, for your car maintenance, for your this, for your that.
Listen,
Long story, please. He said what he wanted to say.
when we're ready, we will do what needs to be done. Half of those people there do not have any use. They don't need to be there. They're not representing anybody. We don't need a bicameral legislature. We need just one house. We don't need two of them with all these people hogging resources and wasting resources and creating absolutely no value. We need to scrap one of them. We need to scrap the whole thing and set up a unicameral legislature. We don't need two. What are they? Who is representing? Who is assembly? Who is what's all that? They just looked at what they did abroad and decided to do. We have red house. We have green house. Half of you don't even know what goes on. Look at the gallery every time that they are streaming video. More than half of them are never in session. They're never there.
Okay.
The ones who are there are sleeping. I don't care what the salary is. We don't need all of you
All
there.
right, Justin, thank
Justin
you
is
so
really
much.
vexing this morning.
Yes.
I mean,
yes,
Lakumi
okay.
made me wake up and come to sleep this morning. What's that?
Justin, apologies. Okay. Yinka actually agrees with Justin. It's like Justin is spitting bars. At least we can all agree that this whole lockdown or restriction is all a scam. Also, you cannot go about doing anyhow and expect to be respected. Hence why we have UAE talking rubbish. Mind you, anyhow in the context means allowing meant people in leadership role expending energy required for change to jackpot. Okay, Nigerians. All right, let's go to the third story. ECOWAS leaders agreed to reopen land borders in January 2022. Leaders of West African countries have agreed to reopen all land borders in the region by January 1st, 2022. Now, you must also know that this resolution was reached at the 60th ordinary session of the Authority of Heads of State and Government of ECOWAS held in Abuja on Sunday. In view of insecurity, in view of COVID-19, smuggling, all of this. Justin, what do you make of this story?
Well, it's a good thing that they've officially decided to open the officially closed borders.
Yeah.
They're never entirely closed. But again, it's one of those things about leadership on the continent and on the subcontinent that beggars belief, right? These statements, these things that they are saying, are part of the raison d'etre for ECOWAS in the first place. ECOWAS
Yes.
exists precisely to do this, right? Because in the body of the article, they're talking about, okay, now we've opened the borders that were hastily closed because of because of COVID, rather.
Yes, yes.
We need to be able to promote inter-country trade, cross-border
Yes,
trade,
yes.
increase the economic potential of the participants in the. Hey, even the whole continental free trade. Well, that's on a continent-wide level, but at the ECOWAS subcontinent level, these are the reasons why ECOWAS exists. Now, one of the things you find out in Nigeria and on the subcontinent a lot is there's a disconnect between policy and execution. So we have clearly articulated policy positions,
Yes.
right? Because our leaders are not. I tell people the problem is not a bug; it's a feature, right? It's the chaos is by design because they are quite educated. That generation, right, was very well educated. They received education that really prepared them, especially for policy and administration, because that's what Black people were trained for during
they're
the
still
colonial,
receiving.
right? So the policies are not the issue, it's execution. All of this talk, we've opened it. cooperation between intergovernment agencies should have been the work should have been putting the processes in place for people to cooperate, make sure that they've aligned COVID response tactics, how many the validity of your quarantine, of testing period, all of that should have been agreed. It's not that you announce a border opening and then you are encouraging the governments to go and work on those things. No, that should be I woke up in the morning, I went on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, of people who work in the agency and the relevant agencies that should be coordinating under the aegis of the ECOWAS. But hey, we have another policy statement, we have another political statement that has been issued, and all is well in the Middle East.
Do you think that Nigeria will be ready to,
How long did it take us to sign the Continental Free Trade Agreement again?
Yeah. Are we ready? Are we ready? I'm not sure we're ready. But do we need to sign? Yes, we have to.
I mean, my only concern is the security angle of it, because this free flow of people is all kinds of people flowing. So, yeah.
Hopefully we can handle it. Finance bill, Nigerian government seek to make Amazon others VAT collectors. The Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed, has said the proposed amendment to the Finance Act will ensure that Amazon and other digital companies become value-added tax collectors for the Federal Inland Revenue Service. What do you make of this?
This is a good idea. However, like Justin has just said, how do you implement this? Which becomes a very critical part of it.
Yes.
How do you work with digital firms that are not registered in Nigeria to do this? Because a lot of
they can if you talk about execution, it can be done.
Yeah.
It's simple code, right? So
it can be done.
VAT gets added to your checkout basket.
Yes, and it can be done. It can be done. The other part of it in terms of execution is, at what point do you get the remittance?
Yeah.
And now, which is one of the things that they're saying, they're going to have some agents that will work with them and so on and so forth. One of the things I know, and it has actually helped the government of Nigeria, is when they made it mandatory for oil companies to be the ones to receive the VAT and withholding tax and remit it, because at that point in time, you don't have a choice. But that's local. Now, the question here is, this is foreign currency that we're talking about. Who are these agents that are going to receive them in their
You see, that's where the corruption sets
Yes.
in.
And how are they going to ensure that this money is come back into the federation account? Whole lot of like you said, policies are not the issue. Have we thought through all the people that are going to do this? Because you're already saying, we're going to have appointed agents and so on.
They do not need agents.
But
With digital,
But
with digital payments involved, introducing a middleman is purposely creating a layer of complexity that allows for loss of revenue.
So how do you propose the remits to ensure that
it's easy? It's really easy. If you are a registered VAT collector, then your VAT registration details are there. You can see it.
In this case, the entity you're talking about is the merchant itself, which is an Amazon, for instance, right? So here's the thing. The question for me primarily is, why are we doing this? Is this just more rent-seeking behavior from the government? What is value-added tax? The product was not created, produced in Nigeria. If I'm on Amazon, it means I'm shopping cross-border.
Yeah.
Right? Why are we having VAT in this conversation?
That's another question.
That's a primary question for me. Before the mechanics of it is not the thing, right? But I'm glad they addressed the mechanics of it, and they're talking about having an agent, because I have a payments background, and my question is, why didn't that? What is the agent doing?
Nothing.
Because money can go straight to the government's designated tax collection account.
Because once you set it up that way,
that's how it's going to go. What is the agent's work? So they will collect 10% of.
And we know where did we start from this money? It's execution.
Okay, let's take a message from Emeka. Emeka says, I salute the aviation minister for his stance on this controversial Emirates issue. Air Peace was granted only one plane and not with wider body mind you. This reminds me of Abacha, how he dealt with British Airways for submission. That's Emeka. Let's see if, okay. Olabode says, these lawmakers, do they even pay tax? Especially on all the unlimited allowances they get. I believe bulk of their income, all their incomes comes from being in that office.
That's a good question.
Justin, no word? No word?
It's a good question.
Yes.
You need to think about it.
Do
No, but
they?
public servants
They-
don't pay
they-
tax.
they-
Their remuneration is tax exempt,
Yes.
which is an
Yes.
anomaly. Because
Yeah.
first of all, the state is catering for you, and by not
With
paying
public
tax, you are.
servants.
Yeah?
The senators, because if you work in the federal service or in the state civil service, you pay taxes.
I actually meant the politicians.
Oh, okay.
But you see, that's a funny thing. In my view, right? If you ask me to
Yeah.
set things up,
Yes.
I would actually exempt the civil servants from tax, right? Because they are not the most
Why?
competitive.
Why?
It would be a perk, right?
should be a
Or they will be on a lower tax
Tax bracket.
bracket.
But even
right?
with the way the personal
And then
income tax is,
I
they're
would,
already on the lower bracket.
and then I would make, of course, we've already dealt with pension, is contributory and all of that, unlike before where it was a drain. But the public guys are, the elected officials, they do not. And I think it's an anomaly because you're a burden to the state. And there's a whole lot of,
When all of them have actually
Perks
gone-
already
they're
attached.
going to pass acts that will give them pension for 20 years.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Okay, let's move on to the next story. Kogi drags to court over alleged hidden 19.3 billion naira demand. This is, and they are also charging 35 billion naira damages. Kogi State has dragged the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission to court over allegations that he hid 19.3 billion naira bailout funds received from the federal government. Now, the government is demanding the sum of 35 billion naira only as damages against the first defendant for the defamatory publication.
I may be confused with this. You know?
Okay.
The money is hidden, the money is not hidden. The bank that had the money. The first question is, the bank itself says, oh, no, they didn't give us a mandate to put it into a deposit account. It's just all back and forth. And this, for me, there's so much, I don't know what to use. Justin, help me, please.
Instead of a publication, can proper investigation be done?
Oh, they
and-
don't even want them to investigate it. That's how bad it is, because that's part of the things that they're asking the judge.
yeah, but there's a standing order in this country where a state once, got an injunction, a perpetual injunction against the EFCC, barring it from looking into investigating, questioning any of the officials of the state regarding any
So
matters
it's
relating to the
for
finances
me,
of the state.
I think,
And it stands.
and I
So there's
think also,
precedence.
aside from that, there's
But
also an individual
they
that
can't
has
do that
too.
after this politician is out of office.
Oh,
The
this-
person
the
who
person
got the
who
injunction has
injunction
since been out of office.
He's been out of office for over 12 years. So this for me also, it just goes to tell me, at the judiciary arm of government, do they really understand what they need to do? Because if every time one person comes and gets an indefinite injunction over what,
Yes.
it's amazing. It means that all of us should just go to court if we have money to get
It's
an
a
injunction.
feature, it's not a bug.
This is Freshly Press 981. I am joined by Wade Ahime and Justin EJ. You can send your messages to 0809 444 0981. 0809 444 0981. That's the place to send a message to. We're streaming live on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube and you want to drop a comment, please do so that I can take your messages. Okay, let's go to this next story. Justin. Nigeria issues 5G licenses to 2 operators.
Election money has come.
The future is looking good. Going by the success of the 3.5 gigawatts spectrum auction, the federal government, through Nigerian Communications Commission, will earn $546 million between now and February 2020.
Yeah.
Election money has
Money
come.
don't come. And then again, yeah, run for the hills. 5G is here.
How dare
Antichrist.
you, Justin? Really? Please,
Everything
please.
is going to be like laser fast.
They're putting microchips in
Tell-
our bodies.
Please, no, sir. Justin is joking. Justin,
Okay, all right.
what's
Seriously.
our future looking like with this update?
Oh my
Great.
God.
We're going to be riding on.
Oh
the
my
moon.
God. I'm buying land in the metaverse. We're all moving to the metaverse.
I don't
Do
think
you know that a plot of digital land sold on a platform on the metaverse called Sand,
Yeah.
the Sandbox, for $2 million? Digital land.
Land, yeah. Did you buy one? Did you buy it for yourself?
please.
We're going to fight
EFCC
this.
is listening.
No, you will
Joe.
get an injunction for you.
Even if you cook beans with gas these days, they will investigate you. So it's a great thing to hear
Yes.
that we finally made some money off of the 5G spectrum, which was tested a couple of years ago. But I'm curious as to who Mafab Communications is. I was quickly googling
Yeah.
who is Mafab. So once again, we conduct a public auction and for mega business, and some unknown quantity
Name.
just shows up, right?
Local
Yes.
content.
And wins a slot. And yeah, that's how we got the power situation
Local content.
where it is, where we privatize power and still. But I like the fact that this telecommunications is a different beast, you
Yeah.
know. So it's a good thing. They beat Airtel out. I'm sure there'll be more rounds
There will be,
to
as you go
yeah.
on.
Yes.
So the winners are MTN and Mafab. Congratulations to both of them. We look forward to a quick rollout, and I hear that the Minister for Technology and something was
Yes.
waxing very lyrical
Yes.
about the whole thing, or the kind of things that he plans to do with it. Well, if you've been antagonizing the people who will derive value for this economy
Yes.
from this is the tech sector, mostly the people who are creating digital platforms, digital services, right?
Yes.
And the government needs to get its ducks in a row with how it's engaging that sector of the economy. Because if you keep pushing and they keep now, countries have created digital citizenship roadmaps for sucking up talent from the tech sector. I don't know that the Minister for Technology
And
and
they're
Communication
sucking up a lot from
for
Nigeria.
communications and the digital economy is looking at that, because the kind of things that have been happening from this administration, we're losing talent, and by extension we are losing money, right? In that space. And if they are not here to create value out of what is going to be created from 5G being a thing in our country, then ultimately all we're going to probably get is this money they've just collected, right? To share,
Election money.
right?
I don't know what you're talking about. So what they
So, but
Don't
yes,
mind me.
it's a good thing.
It's a good thing
I
that we
can't
have
wait
that.
to see what will be created. I can't wait to see how it brings us. Nigeria is already on the mainstream in that space, but
How it improves our digital space and how we do business faster. Let's see how it goes.
Okay, so this comment is from Yinka. So they claim you wanted to plan. So they claim they wanted to plan a fast one with the 19.3 billion naira in sterling bank. Then you fought back by suing the EFCC and asking for 35 billion naira damages. No, the juju be that. Before we go on this matter, on this matter, I beg, who owned the bank account first? Once you know, then we know who put the money there.
Sterling Bank opened it without any mandate.
I
That's why they wrote to the FCC that's how it works.
Really?
That's what they said.
Okay, Ken says, yay, 5G. Can we now have our electronic voting and transmission in our elections? Cool stuff. Kena says, based on the law, the income of politicians are not exempted from tax. I don't know what happens in practice though, but if their income is not taxed, then that's really like justice anomaly. Okay, that's EK. Thank you so much. You can send messages to YouTube as well as we round off pretty soon. Okay, let's move on to our next story. I will go to Wade. 2009 agreement. ASU issues strike notice. You must know that this particular agreement is about how many pages long, covering things like salary structure, allowances, of course, allowances like the clinical hazard, pensions, and retirement age. It covers all of these things. And they're saying that ASU is saying they've threatened to embark on another indefinite strike if the federal government fails to implement the agreement it reached with the union.
They've done an MOU, Memorandum of Understanding. They've done an MOA, Memorandum of Action. So I don't know what next they want to do. But I think it was earlier in the year when they agreed to call off the strike. Out of the 6 major things that have been agreed, only one was done. And this is since 2009. And I really don't understand, really. It's amazing. I won't blame us if they go on strike again.
Yes.
Because we continually talk about the educational system continually going south, and it's sad. And this is going to cause more harm. to
Why is it
Nigerians.
always on the eve of an election year? That's when they remember that there's this 2009. What that famous report is it 1999 or 2009 agreement? It's the same
Yes.
agreement.
2009 agreement.
2009.
Yeah,
Why is it always as we're entering an election
No, but
year
they've been,
that
just
as
to-
They've been
just
at
to
this
be fair
particular
now.
one.
that's my
They've been on
point.
it.
That's my point. This is the academic. You people are supposed to be the brain box of the country. How have politicians been pulling the wool over your eyes since 2009? You
Justin.
disrupted my education. You're disrupting the education of my children. God forbid. Right? Why don't they
Justin,
fight
what would
this
you-
fight once and for all?
Justin.
Why do we always hear about ASU just before campaigns start so that they can give them
I don't know what you're talking about.
Justin, what would you have them do?
Yeah, like anybody.
What would you have them do if they don't completely agree to all their terms? Then they shouldn't come.
Just
back.
shut
Is that what
down
you're saying?
completely.
Yes.
So they shut down the economic.
Otherwise, you're like the
educational
boy.
system.
You're like the
Zero.
boy who
Zero.
cried wolf.
And they're
Okay.
always crying wolf until the day the wolf will come and eat you. That's how it is.
So let me tell you what's going to happen.
Yes.
I'm not a prophet. I'm not prophesying, but this was exactly what's going to happen. So they will do this strike. They will jaw about it, and then we'll
And
see all the
children-
news
children will be at
headlines.
home.
We'll see all the news headlines, and then you see photo ops with Minister of what's that man's name? Is he Ngige? He's still in Ngige, right? You see him take photo ops with them. They will issue a statement. Them and the government are negotiating. They will have rounds of negotiation
and then they'll have
talks.
a new memorandum.
And then they'll have an MOU signed.
no. They've done
and then,
MOU, they've
no,
done
they'll do another
memorandum.
one. Then they'll say, okay, we have a
We have to look
roadmap.
for a name for
We have a
it.
roadmap. The government has committed. And then they'll do photo ops and they'll smile together. They'll call off the strike. And then they'll do elections. And then you see plenty of those professors in INEC, right?
Justin,
announcing
take your last story,
results
take your last story.
and all of that.
No, actually,
and then we'll all forget that there's a 2009 agreement
Justin.
until 2020.
7.
Justin, thank
Uh-huh.
you. Thank you for that breakdown.
That's
Now
exactly
we-
what's going to
Ola-
happen.
Justin, we didn't know before, but
Ola-
now we know how it's gonna go
Ola,
because you're.
yeah, because of this.
Yes, I blame myself. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us on Freshie
Thank
Press
you for
91
having us.
today. You can find Uwade Ahime on social media is Uwade Aime _, and Justin is justin.ej. That's how to find these gentlemen. Please continue the conversation online with us as well. It is at smooth981. My name is Lakumi, and we're moving straight into Lagos Talks, where I open the phone lines for you to call in, and you can share all your thoughts on all the stories that we have treated in the last 30 minutes. Okay, so please join me then. It's 8:10 a.m. My name is Lakumi, and this is Smooth Breakfast.
Lakumi, because of this, Justin came out. You should have just let him stay.
The bad belly of not
But
completing
Bele
my
of not of having to jump up.
This is all my fault.
I have to go back
Justin, thank you so much for us.
and go and wake up properly.
And Wale, thank you for coming.
Oh my God. In short, I'm just